A pope that remained as open to improving Jewish-Catholic relations, as has been the case since Pope John the 23rd, and certainly was the case under Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict, would be vital for our common interests in cooperative endeavors. And that may mean if a pope is now chosen from areas of the world where the church is expanding, like Africa and South America, that we might not have the history with that pope we've had before, and we would hope that that pope would be genuinely interested in being open to encounter and engagement with the Jewish community so we continue our progress forward. A pope that remains deeply committed to the social justice agenda of the church over the last 50 years and can provide common ground for us to work together in addressing the urgent problems facing humanity would be vital. There were some bumps in the road, some moments that created tensions, his putting back the traditional prayer that talks about the perfidy of the Jews, his lifting the excommunication of someone who turned out to be a Holocaust denier, but they clearly were aberrations in a path that strengthened relations between the church and the Jewish community. I think that most Israeli leaders would tell you, and Vatican leaders would tell you, their relations are more cooperative, closer than it's been the case in the past. I think that that in terms of the Jewish community, his visit, and not just one synagogue like his predecessor, Pope John Paul II, but to 3 synagogues, in the speeches that he gave, really helped ease tensions or ease concerns about whether those aberrations were a signal of any change in a negative way, very much to the positive. So I think in the whole, it has been a very positive relation with the Jewish community. Again, he had missteps with the Muslim community at the very beginning in terms of the speech that he gave in Germany. I think he worked very hard to heal some of those, and certainly amongst the intellectual and political elites within the Muslim community, I think has made great progress. Some of those images are hard to change at the grassroots level, and it's hard to judge yet what his impact would be on that level. Obviously, for those of us who share common concerns in the interfaith community about poverty and concern for the poor, about the environment and protecting God's creation, there was concern that his traditionalist theological stances might move him away from the leadership role that the church had played on these issues. But he came out quite passionately, eloquently, and forcefully in terms of maintaining the church's preeminent concern about, in his terminology, the least among us, the concern for the poor and the needy and the helpless and those who really need the assistance of both governments and the private sector to help lift them out of a quality of life that is not sufficient. And that's been encouraging, and it's a very eloquent statement about the environment as an issue of core moral and practical concern for humanity and for the church was very reassuring to people who need it at this period of time. So I think on those levels, his setting out an agenda the interfaith community could agree on, his reaching out to different religious groups across the globe, I think has served him well and served the interfaith relations well on a global level. Obviously, his main challenges have been internal. Here he's dealt with the sex abuse scandals. Here the question of his theological conservatism and whether or not the church is going to move to try and organize around those principles or remain more of an open tent is clearly an unresolved issue that his thrust has put before the church, and we'll see what his successors do. Because of 2,000 years of interaction between Catholics and Jews, with Catholicism growing out of Jewish history and the Jewish experience in the Jewish community at the time that Jesus lived, and because of the fact that we have lived together in communities ever since that time, the quality of Catholic-Jewish relations has been a kind of litmus test for us in terms of the openness of peoples of different religions to the Jewish community and to cooperative understanding and endeavor. Therefore, it feels of vital concern to us. The changes made by Vatican II in ending a lot of the bitterness and anti-Semitism that was endemic in the Church's history and traditions changed the experience of Jews across the globe. And we really hope that that will continue to expand and be a model for other religions as well. The world needs the Church taking its social values and its moral values out into the world and working cooperatively and leading coalitions to help realize the dreams that we share in common of a world of justice and peace and freedom for all people. Should that change in any way, obviously it would have enormous implications for the future of the history of America and the world at a crucial crossroads moment of human history.